Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Mr. Outlaw, and I'm back again today to talk about some more Smokeless Image products. And this here is Zazu. Zazu is an Alexandrian parrot. She is one of my pets. I've had her for about a year, and she has been sitting here with me, so I figured I'd let her be part of the video. So let me go ahead and put her out here in the back and give her one of her pistachio nuts, and we can get started. Here you go, baby. So, anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is the new Smokeless Image CE3 Cartomizers. And I know some people have had some issues with them. People don't understand how to fill them or how to clean them or if they should dry burn them. Some people have noticed some popping sounds when on the coils as they're vaping. Some people have noticed a dry burn taste. So I wanted to address all those issues. So I do want to warn you, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. So what I'm going to do is if you look down in the description, I'm actually going to list where each segment starts. And I'm also going to go ahead and roll that on the screen. So let's go ahead and roll that right now. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully that information helps you so that if you want to come back to this video later and say like, hey, I forgot how to clean them, but I don't really want to watch that whole half-hour video again, you can go ahead and do that. And so hopefully that'll help you. So where do I start? Let's start with, I still like these. I know some people have had some issues with them. And, you know, I know some people got them a few days before me. My shipment kind of got lost in the mail. But, and let me start off with, that was not Smokeless Image's fault. They shipped them on the day, and the post office just decided to take a week to mail them to me. But I like them. And like I said, I was reading people's comments on the forum, and I was sitting there going, oh, I can't believe this. You know, people listen to me. I don't even know why they listen to me, but they listened to me, and I recommended them, and they bought them, and now they're on here going, I hate them, and I can't believe this. I still like them. I still think they deliver an incredible amount of vapor, an incredible amount of flavor, and I really do believe what other people have called them, where people have called them cartomizer killers, or even more importantly, I've read people call them dual cartomizer killers, because they really are that. They just deliver such an incredible vape. And I think once you get past the couple of issues that you may have with them, you're going to love them. Let's talk about the issues, okay? Let's talk about this. What's the difference between the Smokeless Image ones and the ones that I used in my other videos? Nothing. They're made in the same factory, okay? They're the same thing. And here's two different ones. You know what the difference is? I got two differences. Number one is the box, okay? That's one. Other than that, when you open up the box, it's the same instruction card. It's the same packaging on the cartomizer. It's the same syringe. They do include a little bit different drip tip, but the other company actually offers several drip tips with theirs. But they also charge more than $2 more for a box of them. Other than that, one other difference. The Smokeless Image versions were shipped with primer in them. And I will tell you this, I happened to have this box. I wasn't planning on using it because I knew Smokeless Image was coming out, so I was going to kind of save them for an emergency. But I did open up one, and guess what I found? Primer. There's primer in this one. Now, I don't know if this was an accidental shipment because the other company actually lists on their website there's no primer in them, so it may have been a box or a part of a shipment that got slipped in and wasn't supposed to have primer. But I will tell you this, primer is not an uncommon thing in the e-cig industry. A lot of the cartomizers or the clearomizers and the atomizers are shipped with primers to help protect the wicks. But I'm pretty sure after this little bit of experience, Smokeless Image is probably going to ask them to not ship them with primer anymore. I'm really certain that the ones that they're developing won't be shipped with primer. So let's get rid of these. We don't need them anymore because Smokeless Image has got a good set. And I'm telling you, they're just as good, if not better. Okay, so let's talk about the different issues. Let's talk about the primer. First of all, the primer, it's just, again, it's a PG-based fluid which is designed to help keep the wicks dry during, you know, while they're being stored and shipped. It does taste really nasty. And there's a few different ways you can get rid of it. Number one, you can clean it. If you jump to the section on cleaning later on or watch through the video, and more importantly, you'll see how I clean them. I'm going to show you two different ways on how to clean these things. Cleaning them is one way. The second way, you can just put your juice in there and vape it out. But I'm not going to personally do that. It tastes nasty. I'm telling you, it tastes nasty. If you haven't tried it yet, you don't want a vape primer. It just tastes nasty. I don't know what's in there because I have vaped straight PG with no flavoring, and it didn't taste that nasty. The other way you can do it is burn it out. And that's basically like doing dry burn. So if you want to learn how to do that, find the section on the video on how to dry burn, and you can watch it. It takes 2 seconds, and it's basically just like you need to do it on a manual. First of all, let's start off with that. You have to do it on a manual battery, and it's just pretty much activating the coil and allowing that stuff to burn off. But don't vape it while you do it because it tastes nasty. Okay, so that's the first issue. What's the next issue that people were having with them? Another issue that is not uncommon, okay, and that is the battery post issue. Okay, so some people have noticed an issue with they're not connecting right. Okay, I'm trying to get a close-up on this. They're not connecting right, okay? Now, if you look inside there, you can see the battery post. Again, this is not an uncommon issue. I actually had this issue with the ones from that other company. And you know what? We're not on a Smokeless Image forum, so I can say it. From Got Vapes, okay? I had the same issue from Got Vapes. I can tell you why. Unfortunately, I actually took a picture of one earlier, and if I can find it, I'll include it on the video, and I'll post it up right about at this point for you. The battery post that's on these is much smaller than the battery post that's on the Smokeless Image Cartomizers. Okay, well, why is that? Because we're used to the Smokeless Image Cartomizers being a superior cartomizer from many of the other ones that are out there on the market. If you watch all my other videos, one of my videos, I actually show you what makes Smokeless Image Cartomizers better. And one of the big things is the fact that it's a bottom coil. But also, you'll see on that picture that I show you there that the battery post is bigger. There's another company that sells 808 batteries and cartomizers, and they're a pretty big company. And their cartomizers actually have problems on their own batteries with connecting sometimes, where you have to call that company and they'll tell you to pull the post down. It's because they use a much smaller post. So in their design, the other cartomizers, Smokeless Image, had them put the bigger battery post, and I have a feeling they'll probably correct that on these too. It's just a matter of changing to that little bit larger battery post. But this isn't a big issue. I mean, and like I said, I did have them with the ones from Got Vapes as well. So how do we fix that? Okay, fixing it is very easy. Okay, and I'm gonna try to zoom in on this, so bear with me. Got a new camera here to try to do this a little bit better. Okay, we see that little metal up inside. Well, what we want to do is just take a pair of tweezers or a little mini screwdriver and just pull it out just a little bit. And unfortunately, I really don't have any way I can get this on camera and do it. But you can actually just see a little tiny lip in there if I can grab my little screwdriver. Okay. And just put your screwdriver in or in the middle and just pull it up just a touch. You don't want to pull it all the way out. If you pull it out all the way, you're going to disconnect the positive wire, which is just kind of sitting in there. But that's all you need to do. And once you do that, when you hook it up on your battery, it will work. Okay? Unfortunately, there wasn't any juice in there, so I just got a really nasty dry hit. And let's zoom out. Okay, so it's not a big issue. It's easy to fix. I'm sure that on their next batch, they're going to make it so that that is not an issue at all. Okay? So now let's talk about how to fill these. Okay, sorry for that edit in here, guys, but I actually, before I started talking about how to fill them, I forgot the other issue I wanted to talk about was the popping issue. Some people have said that they hear like a popping sound, and that is normal. The lower the resistance on your coil, the more popping you're going to get. And if you take a look at this, I wanted to show you what I'm talking about with a little demonstration. Okay, so what I have here is a hot pot that's empty that I just took off of the stove. Okay, now, think about this as, you know, your cartomizer or your coil, and think about this water that I have in this straw, as my juice, okay? Well, if I take my hot pot and I drop my juice in there, you hear it sizzle. Well, that's what's happening with our cartomizers. You know, now this happens inside of our cartomizer. We just don't hear it as much because, you know, it's inside that metal case. And okay, I'm back. So what was I trying to get at with that whole little demonstration? What I'm trying to show you is it's completely normal to have that little pop. Okay. Again, you know, when you first put the water into the pan, you got that pop or the sizzle. It's the same thing with our coils. We're dealing with a cool juice that's inside of there, and then you're dealing with a hot coil, and when the two meet, you get that little bit of a sizzle. This was going on in your cartomizers. You just didn't notice it as much because we were dealing with like a 2.8, 2.9 coil. These have a 2.4 to 2.6 coil, which means the pot or the coil is a little bit hotter, so you're going to get a little bit louder sizzle. Also, it doesn't have as much, it doesn't have all that filler in the metal container to kind of mute out that sound. But it's completely normal. You want to have this lower resistance. The lower resistance is still good enough for the battery, anywhere between 2.4 to 2.6, but it's going to give you more vapor, it's going to give you a little bit warmer vapor, and it's going to give you nice flavor. And if you don't understand the whole 2.4 to 2.6, and I don't want to get too much into Ohm's law, but basically what happens is you have that metal coil, okay, and the length of that coil is what determines the resistance. Well, if they use just like 1 micrometer too much or too little, it changes the resistance. And so that's why they give you a range of 2.4 to 2.6 or 2.6 to 2.8 or 2.8 to 3.0. It's because there's no way they could be exact. It's always going to be off just a little touch. So there's a range of them. Now, some companies tell you what the range is. Some companies just tell you, well, this is a 2.8 coil. Well, that means it's really falling in that 2.7 to 2.9 range, okay? And just to show you that what I'm talking about with it being okay, this is a Provari, okay? Now, I got this for free recently. I personally don't really use it that much. There's nothing wrong with it. I think overall it's an incredibly built machine. It's definitely a well-made machine, but it's just personally not something that I really need because I like everything somewhere around 5.5 watts anyway. This thing is heavy though. I mean, it's ridiculously heavy for me. Some people love them. I recently went to a vape meet, and it's like, if you own a Provari, it's the greatest thing in the world. It's got one feature on here that I really like, and that's the only thing I use pretty much for it. And the fact that I can put my VV Novus every once in a while, I'll do it. But basically, it's got what's called an atomizer check. So it'll tell me what the resistance is. So let's look at the resistance that I have in here. And I actually rebuilt this coil that's in here myself. Okay. So I'll get to that little menu on here. And I apologize. Okay, so it's going to tell me in here, and I don't know if you can see that my resistance on this coil is 2.9. Okay, now, let's put the 2.9, because that's about what we're used to normally on our Smokeless Image Cartomizers, is 2.8, 2.9. So let's put this down to like 3.6, 3.7 volts. And if we press the button, I don't know if you can hear it, you get a little pop, but not too much. Now, let's move the resistance up to like 4.2. That would bring the watts from about 5.5 watts up to somewhere around 6.5 watts. Now let's listen and see at the pop. You hear that little pop? Again, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be frightened by it. Again, it's not the coil popping. It's just the hot coil hitting the cool juice. Okay, so let's not worry about that. So now, let's get on how to fill the CE3. Okay, I know I said I was going to talk about how to fill the CE3s, but I just realized that before we fill the CE3s, we actually need to get rid of the primer. So I'm going to take a brand new one that I'm just opening up, and I'm going to cut it open and pull it out. Okay, and this one really doesn't have much primer in it, okay? But we're going to go ahead and show you how to do this anyway. Now, like I said, if you have primer in here, you need to, let me see if I can open one up that actually has primer. See if I can find one. Make sure I have the right box, but I just realized I threw the other one on the floor, so. Okay, so this one has some primer in it, and let's just let you see that we have some primer in there. Okay, there's a couple little drops of primer in there. So how am I going to get the primer out without cleaning it? Now, like I said, if you want to get it out by cleaning it, you can go ahead, when you get a chance, go to the cleaning session. But here's what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of blow into it. That's going to kind of push my primer down to the bottom around my coils. Then, like I said, you need to have a manual battery. Go ahead and put on your manual battery and just burn it. Hear that pop? See, now if I don't give it a chance to cool down, you don't have the pop. It's just when it first heats up that coil. Now if I wait a few seconds, I'll get the pop a little bit. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to burn this a few times. Okay? Quick bursts, like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Now, I can smell the primer burning. It smells nasty. I don't want to taste it. Okay? And basically, this is like doing a dry burn, but I don't want to take the whole thing apart to do this. Okay? Again, I'm just going to give a quick short burst, 2 to 3 seconds, until I'm pretty confident that I've burnt that primer off. Now, you can see, if you look closely down on the bottom at the wicks now, you're going to see a glow. That means that I have completely burned my coil down to I basically cleaned it. Okay, you see that glow on the wick? That's my dry burn. Now I know that my coil is good and ready. That didn't take long, right? What did it take us? 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Now you don't have to worry about that burnt taste. Let's talk about how to fill them now. Okay, so we're going to take our syringe and we're going to take off our end cap. Now, there's several ways to fill up your syringe, and I have a video, if you want to go look for the video on my YouTube channel, on how to fill the syringe. Okay, we're going to make it nice and easy today. I'm just going to fill it up in the cap of my bottle. And this was this is a bottle of Vape Dude's Irish Coffee that was actually given to me by Baptized by Fire on ECF. He sent it to me, so we're going to go ahead and use it. I haven't even tasted it yet, so I have no idea of if it's any good or why he sent it to me. Well, I know he sent it to me because the nic level was too high, and I can cut it down. Okay, so I've put in about almost 2 milliliters in here. Now remember what we said. In order to use these, you have to do them upside down. It's very important to put them upside down. Now, on the, trying to focus in on this for you. On the card, for the instruction card, it's got a line and it says like fill to here, but you cannot see where that fill to here line is. It's going to right here. It's going to right where the wicks go into your coil. Okay, where the tube ends. Okay, so that's where we're going to fill this to. So let's go ahead, and you see inside, we've got our air tube. Up on the top, we have our fill hole. We're going to push our needle in, and now the first time you push your needle through this fill hole, it gives you a little bit more resistance. Okay, you don't want to push it all the way through. Let me go ahead and see if I can focus this for you. Don't push it all the way through, okay? Just a little bit, if you can see it there. Turn it upside down and fill it up. Take your time filling it up. Don't fill it up too quickly. Get up to about that spot. Pull out our needle. And then I like to take a little tissue and just kind of stick it up in here in case there was any juice on the needle when I put it in. Then we can put our end cap back on. I like to let it sit for a minute. Now, while this is sitting for a minute, if you only fill this halfway up, when the juice gets too low because there was already air in here, you're going to get a little bit of leakage. It's very important when you fill these, fill them all the way. Okay, up to that line where the wicks are. Don't fill them halfway because then you're gonna get leaks if you fill it halfway. Okay, make sure you fill it all the way up. And the bird's going nuts back there. Don't ask me why. All I know is she's making a mess. Okay, now let's take them and put them on our battery. Here goes nothing. Wow. I just love the vapor that you get on it. Look at the clouds of vapor, and these are what, 2-second hits? I actually usually do like 5-second, 6-second hits. Okay, now, just to let you know, when you do that dry burn, the first vape is going to probably taste a little nasty because you've burnt all the gunk that's on there and it's powdered on. When you see on the cleaning section, if you do a dry burn after, when you have the whole thing taken apart, if you just blow through it, you won't get that. But because I did it with the tube on there, the very first hit had a little bit of a burnt taste, but now it's perfect. This Irish coffee is not bad. It is a bit strong for me at 11 milligrams of nicotine. I'll probably cut it down, but it's pretty good. So thank you, Baptized by Fire. Now, these work on our small batteries, which is actually why I bought them. As I've said before, I'm a landscaper. I spend my entire day in the truck or on lawnmowers. I want to be able to have something that I can treat like a traditional cigarette, which is why I like these. Even better flavor on these. If you want to know why they have better flavor on these, is because I activate the coil first on this, and I've kind of got to not get used to that. You don't need to do a big primer puff with these. Just an incredible amount of vapor. I love these things. Now, like I said, I use these at work. I use these at home. One thing I really do not use is these. Okay. Now, if you do use cones, cones have two purposes. The first purpose that it has is to make it look sleek. The second purpose is it helps to reduce the airflow, so you will get a much tighter draw. Some people want a tighter draw. Here's the issue. Think about it. Tighter draw, you're sucking on a coil that's even hotter. Think about if you have a fire. You blow in on a hot coal for a fire, and the coals get even hotter. Same thing here. I've got a coil, it's already hot. When I suck in on it, it's got no place to pull the air. It's going to burn even more, which is going to give you more of a burnt taste because it's going to burn through the juice quicker. So if you want to use the cones, couple things you can do. Number one, loosen it up just a little bit so that your threads are showing to allow a little bit more air in there. Okay? She's going nuts back there. One of the things I like about these things is I can't smoke in front of a bird because you'll kill the bird, but this stuff doesn't bother at all because it's just vapor. Okay. The other thing you can do is drill a little tiny hole in these. Now, I can't tell you to do this on Smokeless Image stuff, but I can tell you, just drill a little tiny hole. That'll allow some air to go in there. And then you can have the elegance of the cone and still not have to worry about the airflow. So there's a little tip for you. Okay? Outstanding flavor. Outstanding vapor. I love these things. Let's get on to how to clean them. Okay, we're back. Did you fill one up yet? I don't know. I'm enjoying the vape during the breaks. Believe me, I'm enjoying the vape. I just love these things. Okay. Before we even talk about cleaning them, I just realized that there's something else I need to talk about. And I apologize for jumping around, but while we take a break, I keep remembering I need to talk about something else. There's an entire video that I have that talks about how to refill these without taking them apart and cleaning them. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. And what am I talking about? Well, when you get down to just a little bit, you're going to notice that there's still some juice, even if you turn it upside down like this. Well, when you go to refill it, the air that the juice is displacing has to go somewhere. And where is it going to go? It's going to go out the battery terminal end. Okay, well, if there's juice that's up there by the wicks, that's going to come out before the air, and it's going to create a big mess all over your battery terminal post. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to leak. It's not going to leak. I promise. It's not going to leak if you do that. It just creates a big mess to clean up. Okay, so there's a way that we can avoid that. And what are we going to do? All you need to do is have your syringe. Okay, go ahead and put your syringe in, just like this. Turn it upside down. And if we can get the camera to focus, we're going to pull back on the syringe. And of course, I'd put it the other way. Pull back on the syringe to get the juice to come away from the top. Once you do that, now if you go to fill it, there's no juice that's going to come out before the air. Okay, so again, you don't have to do it that way. It just helps it make it a little bit less messy. Now let's get into cleaning these. I'm going to show you two different ways to clean them. The first way is going to be how to do it without taking it apart, and the second way is going to be how to take it apart. Okay, so let's first talk about how to do it without taking it apart. Okay, now to fill this up without taking it apart, all we need is some water and our syringe. And what you're going to do is take your syringe and fill it up with water. Then take it upside down, just like you were going to fill it with your e-juice. Put your needle in and fill it up. And fill it up all the way to the top. Okay? Then turn it upside down and push the rest of the water that's in your syringe out. And you're going to see it kind of gurgle and push through the bottom. Then what you can do is pull your syringe backwards, and you'll see it again gurgle, and push it through again. And that'll get all the water out. Now, you are going to get water spouting up through the air tube. Don't worry about that. That's just because you're putting so much pressure, it's coming out the bottom and out where the wicks are. And go ahead and do that a couple of times. Okay. Come like this. I gurgle it and push it out. Gurgle it. And again, I just do that a couple times. Now, just take it and blow it through. And I've rinsed it out. Now, I don't even bother letting them dry. I never do. Okay, so it's up to you of whether you want to let it dry or you just want to fill it up. It's completely up to you. But that's one way to clean it without taking the entire thing apart. So now let's go ahead and talk about how to take it apart and clean it. Okay, now to clean it, by taking it apart, it's a little bit more detailed, but you're going to get a little bit cleaner or more detailed clean out of it. It's not that difficult. It takes less than a couple of minutes. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. And this time, all you're going to need is your syringe needle, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to put our syringe needle up inside of the fill hole that we have. Okay, and if we can get it to focus, I can try to show you how to do that. Now, I've read online that some people actually use like a sewing needle or something like that, or a safety pin, because it's a little bit smaller in diameter in the needle, and they worry about actually affecting their fill hole. If you do it carefully, you should be fine. But take your needle, kind of angle it, and just slowly, carefully pull out your cup seal, just like that. Okay, now once you get it out, you'll see your center post in there. Take a little screwdriver, a toothpick, a pair of tweezers, kind of wiggle it around so that you can pull it out. Once you get it loose, you can usually bang it down on the ground or on the table and then put it into a bowl of water. Okay, now once you put yours in a bowl of water, what you're going to do, you should do this over a sink instead, because then you can use constant rolling water, but with a bowl of water, that's all I have here. Just fill it up, let the water run through, and then I actually just kind of fill it up and then blow through it. Okay, flick it out a few times, and take a paper towel, kind of roll it up inside, and dry it out. Once you have it nice and dry, take your center post, go ahead and dry that. Put your center post in, and again, take your syringe needle. This is the most difficult part because you need to get your center post centered back in on the bottom. Once you get it in there, it fits in there. Now, you're going to look in here. I push it almost all the way down. Okay, now some people want to leave a little gap, but if you look, I push the center post almost all the way down. I babe 70-30 juice, and it seems to wick just fine, just like that. If you're wicking something a little bit thicker, you can not push the center post all the way down and leave a little bit gap to have a little bit thicker hole for your post, for your wicks. But if you make that hole too big, you're going to get a ton of leaks. So you want to have that post as far down as possible. I know people who have vaped 50-50 juice on these with no problem, or even 70% VG, and have hardly had to adjust the center post at all. Okay, so now once you do that, you're going to try to center that post the best you can by eye. Go ahead and put your silicone cup seal back in. Take your syringe needle and push it in. Now the most important thing here is sometimes it goes in perfectly and sometimes you have to adjust the post, but you want that center post perfectly centered in the middle of the silicone ring. Give it one more push and then you are completely good to go. Okay, you don't have to, you're all clean, and from there you're done. Now if you wanted to, before you put the center post down in there, you can dry burn it. I'm not going to really get into dry burning because I personally don't do it. I really have not found a need to do a dry burn on it. I've used these for a month straight without ever dry burning them, and they have worked just fine. So, but basically, if you remember from earlier in the video when I talked about how to burn the primer off, you do the same thing with the dry burn, but do it with the center post off. If you do want to dry burn these, do very quick, short bursts, like 1 second, 2 second max bursts. More than that, you could possibly pop the coil. So that's how you're going to finish cleaning these. Did you learn something? I hope you did, because otherwise I wasted about an hour and a half of my time. I kept changing my mind of what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it and where I wanted to say it. So I spent a lot of time on this video, so hopefully you learned something. Let's review what we discussed. We discussed the problems that people are having with them. We discussed that I personally think that the primer is lies at the core of what a lot of the problems are that people are having them. We discussed how to get rid of the primer. We discussed the battery post issue. We discussed that those two issues are not uncommon with juice delivery systems with most companies. We discussed how to fill them, how to refill them. We discussed the popping sound that you get and that there's nothing wrong with it and it's normal. It actually makes you know you're getting a better vapor. We discussed how to clean them without taking apart. The differences between this and the Phoenix, which is absolutely nothing. And we discovered that I really like these. I really like them. I really do believe they're a Cartomizer killer. If you haven't tried them, try them. If you're resisting trying them because you're reading things that like, oh, I'm having an issue and they taste funny and I can't believe this and I'm going to wait for the other ones from Smokeless Image, don't wait. I'm telling you, don't wait. They said it's going to take like a month for them to come out anyway, so why wait a month? The only difference between these and the new ones are the new ones aren't going to need a syringe, and I think they're going to even be a little bit better. But use these to get by. You got to buy Cartomizers anyway. Buy these instead. I'm telling you, you're going to like them. Guys, I make these videos because I enjoy it. I don't get paid from Smokeless Image. They don't give me free stuff to make these videos. I do it because you guys keep sending me private messages and messages on YouTube saying that I helped you make a decision, that I taught you how to do something, and that's what makes me feel good. This is kind of like my pay it forward. I really thrive on teaching. If you ask me about something that I have a tremendous amount of knowledge, I'm going to talk your ear off so much that you're going to tell me to shut up. Well, that's what I do here. I enjoy doing it. It makes me feel good to know that I'm helping somebody not go through what I went through. So if you want to help me, though, if you want to support me, do two things for me. Number one, like this video. I appreciate that. More importantly, go over and find my cartoon that's on my YouTube channel for the Smokeless Image video contest. And if it isn't August 31st yet, do me a favor and go ahead and like and watch that video. My wife wrote the entire script, and we spent a rainy afternoon figuring out how to work an animation program. We had never used an animation program, so I kind of like doing it. We had a lot of fun with it. So if you want to do me a favor, go ahead and like and watch that video to help me win the Smokeless Image video contest. That's just a little plug for me. Guys, I appreciate everything. I appreciate everybody's support. Until next time, this is Mr. Outlaw saying happy vaping.